locks are so much of a trend or fad that we're about to hit that bounce back where it's just like, why would I get locks? Like, not to say everyone has locks, but everyone has locks. And I feel like I'm starting to notice that I feel like it almost got robbed from us in the same way that returning natural did. Family, it's Jocelyn Reneé, your Digital Loctician. Thank you so much for your presence. I apologize that this is not our live podcast like we do every Thursday. However, my husband and I are celebrating our 10th anniversary, and so I feel like it's a pretty good reason to be out, maybe, yes. Either way, I did want to have a discussion with you because it's something that's been on my mind for a while, something that I've noticed, and I'm just curious if you all have noticed it too. So before we get into the topic of discussion for today, definitely still check in. Where are you tuning in from? Let me know in the comments. I want to talk about this trend with locks, if you will, and how I've seen it and why I think it is about to go away. When we as a community began to demand that our hair be accepted as it is, like naturally, there came a shift from the consumer side or like the the retail side. They were like, oh snap, people are not buying relaxers. Let's make products that have fruits and vegetables on the front and say organic and still give them, the same BS we have been giving them, but the front of it looks more aligned with how they are thinking. And that wave came through. And I believe that something very, very similar is happening now in the lock world. I want to say, I feel like I noticed, and I'm in my 30s, so don't come for me if you've seen another trend, definitely comment below. But I feel like I noticed that, I want to say the year was maybe 2012, I think it was, don't quote me, when Zendaya wore those faux locks to whatever fashion show that was, and there was that comment that she smelled like patchouli oil and weed, right? Back in the day when weed was not a thing, wasn't legal. You couldn't just go grab it, get it, whatever. And in response to the industry, if you will, coming at Zendaya, the natural hair community then said, no, like, it's fine. She wants to wear her hair however she wants to wear it. She can do what she wants. It's fine. And that became a spark for people to say, oh, I guess people are okay with a locked aesthetic. Let me embrace locks. Then locks started to become more acceptable. I would say out of an act of rebellion, but also in an effort of solidarity. So locks started to become, mainstream. And then we seen, I want to say it was Marc Jacobs do that fashion show where all of the Caucasian women had faux locks in their hair. And this is in a high fashion show. We saw that happen. And then a lot of celebrities started getting faux locks. Then we saw goddess locks. Then we saw locks or faux locks. The look of locks started to be like, it's okay. And so women, I believe, more so than men, because men have been predominantly wearing locks, but now women were like, oh, I can wear locks too. And they don't have to be small micro sister locks. They can be traditionally sized locks. We saw that happen, right? I can vividly remember that switch. Then what happened is we saw a surge as a stylist, saw a surge in people wanting protective styles with locks. And so it became this like high ticket service that you could offer that lasted a while. We saw goddess locks with human hair. You could wear them for months. And we saw people getting locks. And so naturally, I feel like the industry responded and they being locks, became mass produced. We saw crochet locks. We saw faux locks in the bag. We saw lock wigs. We then started seeing, oh, you could have an inch of hair and then come out the salon the next day or even at home with a lock look. So locks then became commercialized. And I feel like I'm now starting to see that instead of it being something that was like coveted, like, oh, you got to grow through that locking process. You got to start your locks. And remember that time when they were saying, oh, don't wash your hair for 3 months. Definitely don't do that. Wash your hair as much as you need. But there was this resistance. This was just like, if you wanted locks, you had to go through this like tough process. You had to go almost through like lock boot camp in order to get locks. And then that was no longer the case. You could get instant locks. You could get crochet locks. You could get faux locks. You could have locks this week, straight hair the next week. You could have blue locks, purple locks. You know, locks are just like up here now, right? In terms of the amount of things that are, I don't want to say be able to be done with them because locks have always been versatile. The ways in which locks have been commercialized, it is up here. And so I believe that I'm seeing locks are so much of a trend or fad that we're about to hit that bounce backwards. Just like, why would I get locks? Like, not to say everyone has locks, but everyone has locks. And I feel like I'm starting to notice that locks are losing their cultural significance. That's what I was looking for. I feel like it almost got robbed from us in the same way that returning natural did. It was like, ooh, we're returning natural. We're taking back a piece of our heritage and our pride, and we're getting back to our roots. And then it was like, you don't need to do all that. Here's this jar. Let's make your curls more defined. Let's make sure your hair is super silky. And yeah, you can still be accepted if you have your natural hair. As I feel like locks are now like, oh, yes, you can have locks, but let's make sure your edges are straight. And so now you see people relaxing their edges, and let's make sure they're super shiny. So here's all this super shine oil. Let's make sure you don't have any frizz. So here's this anti-frizz, super tight hold, whatever. And it's like, yes, you can be natural. Yes, you can have locks, but as long as they look this way. And I feel like we get this conformity, especially with the prepackaged type fashion locks, right? The ones that are like super straight, that have no type of character in them. They are perfectly rounded at the end and there's no inconsistencies, and heaven forbid your locks have a bend. Let's cut them out and start over so they're super straight. And it's just like, is that what we'll tell our grandchildren locks are? Which, I mean, you know, in the same conversation, it's like what my grandparents told me locks were, what I saw of locks growing up was that they were dirty, they were stereotypical, not hygienic and all that. To the other side, oh, now locks are perfectly coiffed and they are widely acceptable and they are meant to allow you to embrace your natural hair. And it's like, I feel like there's this area that we existed in for a short amount of time when locks, you know, is it for us? I don't know. I'm thinking through this in real time. But yeah, so long story long, and I really appreciate you if you're here to this point, but is this something that you are seeing? Do you believe locks are currently a trend? And do you believe the trend of locks is fading out? Let me know your thoughts below. I apologize for this super long commentary, but yeah, it's just something I'm noticing. Just curious if you've also seen it. As always, I'm wishing you peace, love, and good vibes, be sure you are subscribed to the channel. And of course, because even though this is not a live podcast, go ahead and head over to crownelements.com, the sponsor of our episode, and enter the code DLP at checkout for a little special gift from me to you. All right, peace.